Today's lesson is The Invisible Girl. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today in our program and in our next program, we're going to summarize an old story written by Mary Shelley, published back in 1833, called The Invisible Girl. Now, I had not heard of this story before we were going to cover this in today's lesson. I had heard of this story, The Invisible Man. But, not only men can become invisible, women can become invisible too. So we're going to be fair here. We're going to talk about a girl who can't be seen.
That sounds about right. If I looked at this title and I knew nothing about the story, I would think, yes, this story must be about a girl who can't be seen. She's invisible. Wow. Now, I don't think that in this story there's actually going to be an invisible girl or a girl who becomes invisible. I think that this title here is alluding to something else, or it's more poetic and figurative and stuff like that. Anyways, let's get to the bottom of this title and what it means. We'll do so by reading from our story. So don't go away. When we come back, we'll start reading from The Invisible Girl.
The Invisible Girl. On the weather-beaten shores of Wales stands an old tower. One day, a traveler gets caught in a sudden rainstorm and seeks shelter inside. The caretaker, who notices the man's interest in a painting hanging within, proceeds to tell him the tumultuous tale of the painting's lovely subject.
大家好，第一部分我们看到形容词 weather-beaten， 指经历风吹日晒的，饱受风霜的。例如 There is a weather-beaten chapel near the coastline. 海岸边附近有一座饱受风吹日晒的小教堂。或是 We can tell how bad the situation was from Alan's weather-beaten face. 我们从 Alan 饱受风霜的脸看得出当时的情况有多糟糕。再来，我们看到单字 tumultuous， 这个字是形容词，指骚乱的、动荡的、喧哗的。例如 Although Wilbur and Charlotte's marriage was tumultuous, it lasted for 40 years. 虽然 Wilbur 和 Charlotte 的婚姻纷纷扰扰，但还是维持了40年。或是 Henry sometimes has a tumultuous relationship with his sister, but he does love her dearly. 虽然 Henry 跟他的妹妹有时候吵吵闹闹的，但他真的很爱她。
Okay, so our featured story is The Invisible Girl, and we're going to summarize the story today. So let's get to it. Here's the situation. On the weather-beaten shores of Wales stands an old tower. So this tells us where the story takes place. It's taking place in Wales, which is one of the political entities of the United Kingdom, along with England and Scotland and Northern Ireland. We've got Wales there. Cardiff is the capital. It's in the west part of the island of Great Britain. So yes, indeed, in Wales there we've got this weather-beaten shore. Weather-beaten means the weather there is kind of severe. They've got lots of storms. The wind is pretty strong. So yeah, the rocks there look like they've been beaten by the wind and waves for centuries.
Yes, in the United Kingdom, there is rain and wind pretty much all the time, so this makes sense to me. It makes sense that this area would be weather-beaten, wind and rain all the time. Anyways, that's enough with the first sentence here. Let's go ahead and move on to the second. One day, a traveler gets caught in a sudden rainstorm and seeks shelter inside. So there you go. A traveler here is caught in some bad weather. It makes sense. The area is weather-beaten. There's bad weather there. So here we've got a traveler, and there's a sudden rainstorm. Oh, no. And the traveler needs to get inside, to get away from the weather and the elements. So this person seeks shelter inside. By the way, if you seek shelter, you're trying to get out of the elements. You want to find a place where you can go to be dry and to get out of the wind and stuff like that. That's what it means to seek shelter.
Seek shelter, or like the Rolling Stones sang, gimme shelter or I'm going to fade away. But in this particular case, of course, you got a traveler, and that traveler gets caught in a sudden rainstorm. Uh-oh, it's raining pretty hard here. I'm in danger. I better seek shelter. I better go someplace for safety. So this traveler goes inside the old tower that we talked about. Again, this old tower is standing on the weather-beaten shores of Wales. Now, the caretaker, who notices the man's interest in a painting hanging within, proceeds to tell him the tumultuous tale of the painting's lovely subject. So we've got a caretaker, who is the person who takes care of the tower to make sure everything's okay, that all the lights are turned off at night and the floor is swept and mopped, etc., etc. This is the caretaker. And, well, the caretaker sees that the man who just came in to seek shelter sees a painting hanging inside the tower there. And so the caretaker goes, this guy really likes this painting. So therefore the caretaker proceeds to tell the traveler about the tumultuous tale of the painting's lovely subject.
Yeah, if you proceed to do something, by the way, you go ahead and you do it, okay? You start doing that thing. So here we got the caretaker, and apparently he's there. He's been there for a long time. He knows all about the place and all about the painting that is in the tower there. So when he sees the traveler kind of showing curiosity towards this painting or interest in this painting, he goes ahead and he begins to tell this person the story behind the painting and the painting's lovely subject. And apparently, this is a tumultuous tale, so it's not going to be boring. Not at all. If something is tumultuous, there's a lot of stuff going on, okay? If, let's say you're talking about a tumultuous racket, you might be talking about a party that's taking place next door or above you or something like that, and people are making all sorts of noise, and it might be confused and stuff like that. But for the most part, if you're talking about a tumultuous tale, a lot of crazy stuff kind of goes on in that story. That's what the word tumultuous means.
It's an exciting story. Lots of things are happening. It's interesting, so you better check it out. And, of course, we're talking about a painting, and the painting has a subject, okay? If you talk about the subject of a painting, you're talking about what the painting is of. So it could be a painting of a nice old church or something like that, or a lovely stream in the mountains. In this particular case, though, I'm guessing that the subject is indeed the invisible girl, but we'll find out what this is all about in the next paragraph, so let's get to it. Let's listen to the next part, and then we'll discuss it.
Several years ago, a gentleman arrived in a nearby town. Though the brooding man did not introduce himself, the townspeople recognized him as Henry Vernon, a local nobleman. Henry hired 2 fishermen, one of whom was the caretaker's son, to take him by boat along the coast. A storm soon broke, and facing serious danger, the men headed for a flickering light on the shore. When he asked his companions about the light, Henry was told it was a fairy light, lit by a girl whose lover had died in a shipwreck. As she had never been seen, she became known as the Invisible Girl.
第二部分，我们看到形容词 flickering 指闪烁的、摇曳的。举例来说 We need to get the TV fixed as the screen is always flickering. 我们必须修理电视，因为萤幕总是在闪烁。另外，这个字去掉字尾 ing 就成了动词 flicker 指闪烁、摇曳、忽隐忽现。我们可以说 The candle flame flickered when Julie passed by it. Julie 经过时，蜡烛烛火闪烁了一下。接着我们看到单字 shipwreck 这个字可以是名词，指海难、船只失事。举例来说 Linda's uncle died in a shipwreck many years ago. Linda 的叔叔多年前死于一场海难。或是 The divers explored the shipwreck, hoping to find treasure. 潜水员探索沉船，希望能找到宝藏。另外，这个字也可以是动词，指遭遇海难，像是 We will end up shipwrecked on the island if you don't stay away from those dangerous rocks. 若不避开那些危险的岩石，我们最后会触礁在那个岛上。
Okay, so the invisible girl. Let's go ahead and listen to the caretaker tell this story. Several years ago, a gentleman arrived in a nearby town. Though the brooding man did not introduce himself, the townspeople recognized him as Henry Vernon, a local nobleman. So there you go. This gentleman arrived in town. He's a nobleman. And apparently he didn't really introduce himself because he looked like he was in a bad mood and like he was thinking about something that was kind of complicated or difficult or tough. Yes, he was brooding. He was thinking about something that was making him unhappy. That's what it looked like to the people in the town.
Yeah, that's what brooding means here. You're kind of sad and you're really thinking about something. Maybe you're kind of depressed. Like a lost puppy might have brooding eyes and you want to take the puppy home and make him your pet. So this man was troubled by something, so he showed up in this town and he was brooding and he didn't introduce himself. He had other things on his mind. And they knew who he was, though. Hey, we know who that person is. That's Henry Vernon. He's a local nobleman, which means he could be a duke or some person of some authority. Maybe he owns a lot of property. Somebody who should be deeply respected.
There you go. He's a local nobleman. Now, more on Henry. Henry hired two fishermen, one of whom was the caretaker's son, to take him by boat along the coast. So he showed up. Didn't introduce himself, but people knew who he was. He was brooding. He looked like he was ruminating and thinking about something dark and deep, and it was making him unhappy. Then next, this brooding person hired two fishermen, not because he wanted to go fishing, but because he wanted these fishermen to take him by boat along the coast. I wonder what he wants.
Yeah, he wants some kind of boat trip along the coast here. He's looking for some experienced fishermen, so he hires two of them, and one of those fishermen just happened to be the caretaker's son. So I guess that's how the caretaker knows this story. And the story continues here. A storm soon broke. You could also say a storm soon broke out. It started. And facing serious danger, the men headed for a flickering light on the shore. So they were out there along the coast in a fishing boat, but then a storm came, and that can be quite dangerous. If there's a strong storm, it might tip your boat over, the boat will sink, and you will drown and die. You certainly don't want that to happen. So they decided to seek shelter to find protection, and they saw this flickering light on the shore. Hey, there's a light over there, and it's kind of flickering, which means sometimes it's bright, sometimes it's dim, and that happens a lot, like the light of flickering stars, for example, like twinkling stars, flickering. That's very similar in meaning.
There you go. Now, when Henry Vernon, when he asked his companions about the light, this flickering light, Henry was told it was a fairy light lit by a girl whose lover had died in a shipwreck. Now, as she had never been seen, she became known as the Invisible Girl. So there you go. She's called the Invisible Girl not because she can't be seen. It's just that no one has ever actually seen her, or that's just how the story goes. Now, it says here that this girl's lover had died in a shipwreck. Basically, a shipwreck is what occurs when a ship has an accident. Okay, it might sink, it might fall apart. That's what happens. You have an accident on a boat or a ship, and you wreck, and what results is a shipwreck.
Yeah, like the Titanic was a famous shipwreck when it sank way back in 1912. So in this particular case, though, there was a shipwreck, and there was a guy on the boat who died, and he had a lover who later became the Invisible Girl, and she's pretty bummed out about that. She's pretty sad. My lover, you will never return. You were lost at sea. So she decided to light this fairy light, I guess, to hope that her lover someday returns. And that's what Henry was told by those two fishermen. Okay, let's continue summarizing. Let's listen to the third part of our lesson right now.
After a long struggle against the storm, the men finally arrived at the shore in their damaged boat. They entered the tower and climbed to the upper floor, where neither the girl nor any light was to be seen. The exhausted fisherman slept as Henry reflected on the circumstances that had brought him there.
最后第三部分，我们看到名词 circumstance， 指事件发生的原委、情况。做此意时常用复数形，例如 It's important to consider the circumstances influencing someone before you judge their behavior. 批评他人的行为之前，先设想影响他这么做的原因是很重要的。或是 William did the best he could with the bad circumstances. William 在恶劣的情况下尽他全力做到最好。另外补充2个相关片语。第一 under the same circumstances 表示在相同的情况、情势下，像是If you had been under the same circumstances as the people on the damaged plane, you would have been scared too. 如果你和故障班机的乘客们遇到同样的情况，也会惊吓不已的。第二 under normal circumstances 表示在正常、一般的情况下。我们可以说 Under normal circumstances, I would not need you to help me. 在正常的情况下，我是不需要请你帮忙的。
Okay, so we've got Henry Vernon, the local nobleman, and he is on a boat with 2 fishermen. They're taking him along the coast. Now, no one knows why they're going along the coast or anything like that. But remember, there was a storm, and they headed towards this flickering light for safety. Now, after a long struggle against the storm, the men finally arrived at their shore, or at the shore, I should say, in their damaged boat. So, yes, this storm was very severe. It damaged the boat, but there wasn't a shipwreck. They did not wreck or anything like that. They did arrive at the shore, even though their boat was a little bit broken or damaged.
Exactly. So I guess if they continued to sail, the boat would have sunk. So it was damaged there. And they got ashore there. So they entered the tower. There's that tower again with the flickering light. And they climbed to the upper floor of that tower, which means it's pretty high there, the upper floor. It's not the lower floor close to the ground. It's the upper floor that's higher up in the air, where neither the girl nor any light was to be seen. Now here we've got the word where. That where here refers to the location that we just talked about. Okay, the upper floor. And on that upper floor, they could not see the girl, nor could they see the light.
There you go. So this tower, maybe it was functioning like a lighthouse or something like that. There's kind of a light at the top of this structure that helps people in boats navigate and stuff like that. But here, instead of it being a lighthouse, it's just a tower, and they don't really find any light at all where once there was that flickering light. So there's no light here and no girl either. How interesting. Now, the exhausted fisherman slept as Henry reflected on the circumstances that had brought him there. So there you go. The fishermen, they were fighting the current and the storm and the waves that whole time, so they were really tired. They were exhausted. They were well beyond simple fatigue. They were super tired, exhausted, so they went to sleep immediately. Henry, though, did not. He stayed up and he thought about things. He reflected on the circumstances that had brought him to this place.
Exactly. So again, they were exhausted, which means they were very, very tired. And that's how you would describe yourself if you were very, very tired. You would say exhausting to describe the situation or the work that made you exhausted. This work is so exhausting, so now I feel exhausted. So the fishermen were exhausted from their journey, from the trouble they had in the storm there. So they slept. They were out like a light. But Henry was kind of reflecting on the circumstances. Gee, what happened to me today? Well, I arrived in this town. I did not introduce myself. I hired a couple of fishermen. We got caught in a storm. I saw that flickering light. So there he's reflecting on the circumstances. Reflecting on just means you're kind of reviewing what happened. You're kind of looking back and considering what has happened to you. Circumstances are just situations or basically your fate or your destiny, what happened to you and why it caused you to have the trouble that you did.
There you go, your circumstances, what's going on around you at that moment or what brought you to that point in time. These things you can call the circumstances surrounding you or your personal circumstances.
Yes, circumstances, usually in the plural. For example, I could say, due to circumstances beyond my control, I will not be able to attend your party. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第3部分的第2句写到说 They entered the tower and climbed to the upper floor where neither the girl nor any light was to be seen. 这边我们来介绍几个重点。第一个是关系副词 where 的非限定用法。好 where 当关系副词呢，是用来修饰或是补充说明表示地方的先行词，它就相当于介系词加 which， 像是 at which, in which 等等。好，那么当先行词它是明确的地点，我们就不用限定它的范围了，这个时候就是要用非限定用法，也就是说 where 所引导的关系子句功能是要对先行词做补充说明，所以这边呢，它用逗号把这个关系子句跟主要子句隔开。像课文里面先行词是 the upper floor， 由于塔楼的上层是明确地点，我们不用限定范围，所以后面的关系子句Where neither the girl nor any light was to be seen 是去对它做补充说明，在塔楼上层那个地方没看到那个女孩，也没看见任何灯光，那这时候 where 就相当于 on which。好，那么 where 的前面它有用逗号把它跟主要子句隔开，这样就是非限定用法咯。好，第二个重点是呢 neither A nor B 它表示既不怎么样也不怎么样， A 和 B 都不怎么样，那么其中的 A 跟 B 词性要相同，假设是连接动词的话，这个动词的时态就必须一致咯。好，例如 He neither smokes nor drinks，他不抽烟也不喝酒，这时候相对的动词 smokes 跟 drinks 都是用单数动词。好，那如果用 neither nor 来连接主词的话，后面的动词就必须配合最靠近的主词，也就是主词 be 来做变化，像是 neither Jane nor her parents have ever been to Europe。Jane 和她的爸妈都不曾去过欧洲。那例句里面我们的助动词是要配合最靠近的主词 her parents， 所以我们是用 have。 好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Shelter. As it started to rain, Shelby decided to take shelter in the closest shop. Caretaker. My neighbor acts as the caretaker of my house when I'm away for long periods of time. Proceed. Despite the fact that Derek said he understood the answer to the math problem, Henry proceeded to explain it anyway. Brooding. Whenever I picture an artist, I think of a brooding young man or woman. Exhausted. Even though the children were exhausted, they still refused to take a nap. Circumstance. Due to unexpected circumstances, Georgia couldn't attend her cousin's wedding.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.